back to Hollywood, to the mayor's office, and now behind the mic at KXEX. This is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody clapping out there. Nobody.
That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable. Free at last! Free at last!
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now, 559-899-1550.
Well, good Tuesday to everybody. Guillermo Moreno here. Even though I don't sound like Guillermo Moreno, Alan Autry will be back. Do not worry. Do not fret. Alan Autry, the legend, will be back. Joined by Bob the Bullet, because my voice is not doing that great, and because Bob the Bullet's way better than I am anyway. So Alan's like, listen, you let Bob run the show, you'll be fine. I can't let you in there by yourself. So Bob the Bullet.
We could be taken off the air permanently.
There you go.
If he leaves us here too long.
That would not be good. Bob the Bullet Leoni, always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Guillermo.
And thank
Fun
you
to be here.
Election night. Thank you for you are now officially a political analyst. You know that, right?
Well, we're in deep trouble if I'm an analyst, let me tell you. I just look at the numbers and see what I see
analyze them.
Say what I say.
Yeah, you look at the political numbers and you analyze them.
Well,
so you are a political analyst. Bob the Bullet Leoni. Hey, we were going to start off. This was going to be the Trump hour. I mean, the whole hour is going to be the Trump hour. We're going to talk about Trump, about his big announcement. But you've been in radio for how long? I mean, you've been in radio a long time.
Well, I started in radio in 1973.
They had radio then?
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
Well, it was 2 cans and a piece of string.
I'm joking.
I knew Marconi personally.
There you go. So you know in this biz you know what you're going to talk about. You have your whole hour set, and then breaking news happens. And,
live radio, baby.
And you gotta pivot. And
Yep.
Something did just happen. 2 Russian missiles killed 2 in NATO nation of Poland. So that is breaking everywhere at this moment. 2 dead after rockets or missiles hit NATO member of Poland. And right now, the Polish prime minister is calling an urgent meeting amid unconfirmed reports of rockets landing in Poland. So a couple things before you do the knee-jerk reaction and say, oh, damn it, Putin's at it again. This is World War III all over. Well, not all over again. Well, I mean, but this is what I want you to know just off the bat. This was right on the border, and it's being described as stray rocket missiles. So according to Polish media, 2 stray Russian rockets landed in Polish territory, killing 2 people. The rockets reportedly landed in the Polish town of Przewodów, near the border with Ukraine. These reports have not been independently confirmed by anyone. The White House just released a statement saying no confirmation of strike. They're still waiting and learning about what happened. So I know you'll read the headlines, and I know everyone's quick to assign, hey, that they might have been Russian missiles, but some of the reports are saying they were stray. They were right on the border, which I'm not saying that justifies it, but if there's anybody wanting an out of this, it looks like that's the case. It's not like Putin said, hey, look, I'm done with Ukraine. I'm going to move on because I'm doing so well in Ukraine. I'm going to take over more former Russian territory and go into Poland. That's not what's happening, but I want you to be informed. Bob?
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, am I right on?
Well, we're the former commissioner of NATO, Kurt Volker, is being interviewed right now on Fox News. And just before we went to air, he was asked a question about, was this a real Russian strike? Did they intend to do this?
Intention
is the issue. And he said, yes, this is not, he said this was not some mistake on behalf of the Russians. And he just called for escalation.
Okay.
So
All right, great.
But that is just before we came on air.
Thank God he's a former.
Yeah,
former, right?
We need to take a step back and really they need to analyze this and see what the heck's going on. He's of the opinion that it was not a mistake and that it was intentional.
Wait, here's what was the city again that I butchered?
I don't know. I don't have it. I tried to spell it, but I can't.
So it happened in the city of Perzerodao. Perzerodao, and my geography skills in that part of the country aren't necessarily my forte. Poland. Okay, it shares quite a lengthy border with.
It's right on the border with Ukraine.
It is.
Okay.
Well, wait. What was it? Man, I got a lot of cities over there that sound the same. So I get it. He's probably saying, "Hey, look, this is intentional." But I mean, judging from how badly the Russians have been able to execute anything militarily, I wouldn't put that out of the realm of plausibility. Of hey, look, it was unless everything has been precision. I'm not a military guy, but just common layman. I mean, maybe not. Maybe he's saying, "Come on, that's a bunch of BS." Yeah. You send these things out. You know where they're going. These missiles. They're not dealing with bottle rockets here. They intentionally know what they're doing
and where they're going.
So, this is an interesting question. When I thought of this, as soon as I came in the studio and I was reading all the headlines, this is really, if this was intentional, because that's what it comes down to. Like you said, it comes down to intent. Did the Russians intend to kill? I mean, look, it was right there on the border. Thank you, CNN, for bringing up the map. It's right on the border.
Mm-hmm.
Did Putin intend to do it? And if he did, this is impeccable timing because we just finished the midterms. We know that nothing's going to change in this country for the next 2 years. Joe Biden is off on a world summit. He's not going to the dinner tonight. Well, actually, it might have passed already. We don't know if he's got COVID. We don't know if he's sick. We know that he wasn't tough on China. We know that when he met Xi, they had mutual respect for each other, which is, listen, I'm tired. Maybe this is the America first in me, but it's good to have respect for other countries. But everybody needs to realize that. Listen, we're the Americans. We deserve the respect first, and then none of this. Anyhow, so when he came out of that, it was very much I respect China. China respects us. We're going to work together competitively. I mean, he came out just fumbling.
What does that mean?
Yeah, we're going to compete competitively, respectfully.
What is?
It's not a fair fight. First of all,
I don't. Hopefully, the president took the conversation with being with a grain of salt. I wouldn't believe half of what he would tell me. China's it's not a good place.
It's not a good place. They're not good people. They're not.
The
good.
people are. The
people are great. The
fine.
Chinese
the
Communist
government,
Party.
Yeah, the government is not good.
They're not good actors. The Communist Party, or they're not good people.
But I guess we can. Excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt. I guess we can look at the positive of that. At least they met.
Yeah.
And they talked about whatever they talked about. So that's positive.
It was probably she yelling at him the whole time.
Yeah.
That's probably what Joe Biden not being able to hear what the heck he was saying. But back to what I was saying. This is really impeccable timing because these world leaders don't do anything just by that's not calculated. Everything that Putin does, everything that Xi does, everything that that Kim Jong-un does, these people are calculated. Putin is sending a message. If this was intentional, that listen, you might think I'm not doing well over here, but don't forget, I can make things a whole lot worse. So I don't think he wants to take over Poland, because this could be a warning strike because we're not on the ground over there. And to be honest with you, I think the world's kind of forgotten about Ukraine. We're 8 months in, and I think this might be Putin saying, hey, don't forget, I'm still over here. I'm still controlling this. Don't think I'm retreating. Zelensky did the spiking the football yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, this is our town again.
Getting Kirsten back.
Yeah. Listen, this is probably a response. I hope it's not intentional. But, Putin, too, obviously, by his invading Ukraine, knows that, hey, listen, sometimes I don't understand what I'm doing. So he could really anger. But the White House coming out saying, listen, man, we don't know if there's a strike. We don't know if anything happened. It's all unconfirmed. So I think the White House is really probably just in panic mode, thinking like, okay, great. This is the next step. escalation?
I think a couple of things. Well, I think a couple of things. Number one, to your point, hey, I'm still here. We're getting our butts beat in Ukraine in certain areas, but I'm still here, Putin. Secondly, I guess you would have to ask the question of what purpose does that serve? Simply to tell the world that he's still there, that he's still, hey, we still got the arsenal, we can still do some things to hurt a lot of people. So what would be his motivation other than that, I guess? I haven't really thought it through. We just saw this.
Let's just pretend that you and I were military war hawks, all right? As I often don't pretend, but I do like John Bolton. You know, that man wanted to take over everything before lunchtime. So he wanted to take over Mexico. Do you know
got
that?
a great mustache. I got to tell you.
Oh my! I'm reading Jared Kushner's book, and he talks about how John Bolton wanted to go in there and take over Mexico. But it's ridiculous.
You know,
don't make me laugh.
But see, when he says things like that, you know, the credibility level drops significantly.
Just a bit.
Yeah,
just a bit. But let me look at this through the eyes of, okay, I want this conflict to end. They've now given us a reason to maybe perhaps end it. You know, and I'm not saying this thing isn't going to end without someone coming out to be the loser. They're not going to agree. Or maybe they will. But I think this is an opportunity, if this was intentional, to really tell Putin, hey, listen, man, now's the time to stop it. You don't stop. Now you've literally attacked an ally, a NATO member, which automatically brings up tons of clauses of protection for Poland.
Well, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
This might be unfortunately, this might be the time where, or maybe Putin, and I'm just thinking about, since it just happened, maybe Putin is saying, let's really see how strong NATO is. That's why
a challenge.
And that's why this is really.
Okay.
I mean, you think about it, because I mean, he's probably saying, "Hey, let's see how good." The Americans don't even know what the heck they're doing. So I doubt Biden's going to come out strongly. He knows the Europeans are pretty much. I mean, they're in trouble. No one's
domestically.
Domestically,
they got their own issues.
So maybe he's saying, let's see how strong NATO really is now. Let's see if you guys are even a force.
So a direct challenge
to
NATO. That could be point number 3. I don't know. Be interesting to see what comes of this. It seems that certain news outlets have enough information to indicate that they were Russian missiles.
How do they know that?
I don't know. I'm just looking at the screen here.
They look at the shrapnel.
They have people in the ground in the area that know what they're talking about. I guess. I don't know.
I guess you're right.
So it's going to be interesting to see what the ramifications of this are, and what NATO is going to do. Because now it's almost like he's forced their hand to do something.
He has, and if they don't do something, then they're going to look weak.
Then what's the point of NATO?
And NATO's going to look pretty much as if it's an organization that's far exceeded
like the
its
UN.
time. Like the UN. Yeah, like the Democrat Party. Have we not gotten beat on Tuesday? Bob the Bullet Leoni in the studio here. You know, we're going to blow through the break because we didn't factor in breaking news like this of this gravity, but we'll keep you informed here. Please don't forget, we will be airing President Trump's big announcement tonight. I wonder what that is.
What time is that supposed to be?
6 p.m.
Eastern?
No, it's 9 p.m. Eastern time. Producer, can you actually check on that? Google the time. I thought I heard when I hear news, I always go back 3 hours. And that's what time it is. So I'm pretty sure it is 6 o'clock our time, which would be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bob the Bullet,
which sounds more.
KXEX political analyst, joining me in the studio. You can't laugh when I say it.
I got another title.
You can't laugh when I say it.
I've got it
because then you just
my credibility.
I mean, if you were to say Dr. Moreno, I'm not going to be like. I'm going to say, yeah, Bob. How can I help you? I mean,
you have a doctorate?
I do have a doctorate.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Well, you got a JD.
That's a Juris Doctorate.
Doctor, yeah. But you're not practicing, obviously, are you?
I'm practicing now.
Do you have a California license?
No, I don't. Oh. So I'm illegal.
So you have
I'm undocumented.
So
I'm undocumented. I'm an undocumented doctor. No, but you can still call me Dr. Moreno. If I were to teach in academia, it would be Dr. Moreno.
Well, and you'd get a lot of money for that. For that degree, sure.
In academia?
Yeah, you get a lot of money for having a doctorate. Absolutely.
Anyhow. Bob the Bullet Leoni here, Dr. Moreno in studio here with you today. Let's talk about the big elephant in the room. And tonight.
Besides me.
No, stop. Donald Trump.
Yep.
We're not gonna pretend and waste any minutes on. Well, I wonder what the announcement's gonna be. Maybe he's opening up another golf club. Maybe he's gonna build another building. Maybe a new office building. Maybe he's announcing a new PAC. We know what the announcement is going to be tonight. The announcement is going to be that he's going to be making a presidential run in 2024. We're going to break this down in several different caveats, but I want to get your initial thought. We all knew it was coming. I mean, I think people want to act like, oh, man, it's not a surprise. It was just a matter of time. This announcement was coming. Bob, you don't necessarily. Well, I'll let you explain it. You explain where you are on this announcement, and I'll kind of give everybody my big overview.
I'm like you, and probably most of the American public. This is certainly no surprise. Trump feels that he's owed the presidency, I think, in some respects, because of the last election. So this is no surprise that he's going to be announcing tonight, whatever time it is.
9 o'clock, 9 Eastern time.
9 Eastern.
9 Eastern.
6
out
Pacific.
here.
6 Pacific. Okay, great.
So,
yeah, we'll take it live.
So by 6 o'clock here.
Who's on at 6? We don't care about what that person has to say.
6:05.
Oh, it's me. All right, yeah, we'll take it. All right, Bob, go ahead. Dr. Moreno might oppose to that. All right, well, I'll check with the doctor.
You can just kick him off the air and let Trump come on with
There
his
you go.
announcement. So really no surprise. I don't know how far you want to get into this right now.
Oh, we're going to go all the way, Bob. So your initial thought is like, you're not.
No,
you're not really moved by it. You're not mad.
No.
You don't feel anything.
No, I think it was pretty much a done deal. He decided a long time ago, but due to the timing of the thing, it can only come out now. So no real surprise there that he's going to be announcing. If he does not announce his candidacy tonight, then I will be surprised a little bit.
Maybe about 1% has been.
I just don't think it's.
What if he comes out and says, "Hey, you know what? I've loved my time. I love my country. I can be better in the background. Here's Ron DeSantis."
No. Well, that's
that ain't
never
going to
happen.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Never going to. Trump's ego, his ego and his narcissism, wants to keep him in the spotlight, in front of Americans. So he now has another opportunity to do that on a more regular basis from here on till 24.
Well,
and
hold on.
But
let me give you my initial.
Sure.
So here's where I'm at, and I want to remind everybody on every political spectrum, just because Donald Trump announces tonight doesn't mean he's automatically he's the Republican Party candidate.
No.
I want people to understand that, because I think a lot of people, especially on the left and independents, are looking at every single Republican saying, "Oh, there you guys go again. You're all doing it again. He's your guy." I want to remind people that there is a lengthy process by which we choose our presidential nominee. Right. So this message is more to the left and to when the media doesn't care, because they're going to report falsely anyways on this whole thing. But I want to remind people, especially the conservatives that are maybe in the middle, maybe that were Trumpers. Now they're not. Now they just don't know. They want to wait on DeSantis. This is the part of our American republic within the party where we actually get to choose the candidates. And I want to remind people, because everyone's always focused on us, right? Because we're the bad guys. The Democrats don't do this. All right. Well, yeah, they do, Guillermo. They have a primary. They have a primary where the Clintons, the Obamas, and the Bidens are in charge. They eked out Bernie the first time. I believe he should have actually been their nominee.
Threw him to the curb pretty quickly.
Him to the curb, right? And then somehow they threw everybody else to the curb and said, "No, Joe Biden, you're the candidate." So I want to stop playing this game of like, "Oh man, you Republicans, it's in the bag for Trump." We have a very, very. I think our party is less shady. All right, let me just put it that way. The Republican Party is less shady.
You're going to get some calls.
They're gonna get the process is going to play out. Ronna McDaniel, the RNC chair, isn't going to say, "All right, listen, it's all Trump. You guys got to get out." And actually, she might have those meetings because as a good chair, if I were Ronna McDaniel, I'd bring everybody in and I'd say, "Hey, look, guys, Donald Trump is not Donald Trump anymore. He is former President Donald Trump. He served our country. He's a president who's alive. I think that deserves some deference. That's what I would do if I were her. But nobody cares, and I'm not her. So if she does her job well, she'll get everybody into the room, or maybe she's already done this, and say, "Hey guys, look, what are we gonna do? Who wants in? because that's a problem, especially in this state. Republicans don't get together in a room, and we don't talk, and we don't game plan. There's no strategy. So I hope this is happening on the national level, where she's talked to Trump, she's talked to DeSantis, she's talked to Mike Pence, she's talked to Pompeo, she's talked to all these people that have these political presidential aspirations, and said, "Hey, look, Mike Pence, you're a great man. You love God, you love your country, you love your wife. You're such an. I mean, I would leave my kids with you. All right, maybe not so with Trump, but you have zero chance to become president of the United States, Mike. Like zero. So I hope she's had these conversations with a lot of these presidential aspirers and said, hey, look, this is where we're at. Now, if all of them say, you know what, Rana, no one cares about what you have to say. America loves me. I'm ready to run. It's my time, which they're all saying. That's my first thing is I want people to remember just because Trump announces doesn't mean he's the Republican candidate.
Right.
Doesn't mean he's going to be the next president.
Right.
And I don't think people should try to stop the process by saying this man is the reason to blame for 2020. This man is the reason to blame that our country is going to pot. This man is the reason. No, listen, man. The state of our country and the state of our party isn't because of Donald Trump. We got issues. So that's my overall thought so far. What do you think, Bob?
Well, I would agree with some of that.
Not all of it.
Well,
it's just fine. And you're not necessarily. You're going to wait for the process to play out. He's not your first candidate, right?
No. And the issue that I have is if we get too many of those folks in there who don't realistically, you're gonna split the vote. I think we have to have a united front, and the question then becomes: can we have a united front with Trump? Say it comes down to Trump and DeSantis. Can we have a united front? I don't think that can happen because Trump is going to do his thing, and he's already.
No, I think we can. What do you mean? If we have like Trump DeSantis ticket?
Yeah.
No, I think we can't. So remember in 2016, I was a Ted Cruz guy, big Ted Cruz guy. I was a delegate for Ted Cruz.
Okay.
To the convention, the CAGOP convention. Trump wasn't my first pick, by far. I was a Ted Cruz guy, and but as soon as I realized that Ted Cruz wasn't going to get the nomination, and it was going to be this guy named Donald J. Trump, Fresno was really, and a lot of people might not know this, but here in Fresno, there's only one lady at the very onset that said she supported Trump in the Central Committee, and this is when all the candidates and because we all raised our hands on who we supported. The Ted Cruz had a group, who else had a group at the time? Marco Rubio had a group, and Carson had like two, and then it was like, all right, anybody select Trump? And I remember Barbara. Her name was Barbara. She stood up and said, only person in the room, and everyone looked at her like, oh my, all right, well, she'll be in and out quick. She'll be joining us. But
she had some foresight.
But at the end of the day, we all rallied together. We all came together, and I think that exact same thing is going to happen with the Republicans. Right. I think the Republicans will all get on board, unless those Never Trumpers. And I heard something. The Never Trumpers are going to have another. They're the Never Trumpers again. That's going to be their new term. The Never Trumpers again. They're not going to be there.
Still, the Never Trumpers.
There's still Never Trumpers. They're not going to be there no matter what. But I have confidence that I don't think the party. I don't think Trump is dug his grave. He can. I don't think he's dug his grave that far off to where Republicans are like, I'm out. I'm not even going to vote Republican at all. And you might see it differently by judging. Well, it's fine.
I talked to some folks and been reading some things, and he's alienated a lot of some of the base that he had in 2016 just because he's continued to be such a dope, such a jerk.
What's the big the Ron DeSanctimonious comment?
Well, that and all the comments that he's made prior to that, and people are just tired of it. They want somebody, and he was right for the time in 2016, no doubt about it. And he came in, both guns blazing, and he's, the media's corrupt, and the Dems are corrupt, and the system's corrupt. But I'm going to come in and I'm going to change it, and we're going to make. And he did, and he was the right guy for the time. And I just, and quite frankly, I'm just tired of the guy, and his string has run out, I think, and I just don't see him having the same base that he now, like any candidate, he's going to have his folks that are going to be staunch supporters come hell or high water.
I'm not one of them, actually.
That's never going to change.
Yeah.
That's never going to change. I loved his policies, but I couldn't stand him after a while. And I think a lot of folks in my position who are kind of taking a look at this thing, hopefully realistically. And
are you an independent? I hate to ask you on there.
Not registered, no.
Okay.
But I think I probably fall into more of that category.
Were you a Republican at once?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So we lost you like we lost Alan.
Well, yeah, I guess
we did.
I don't know when he. I don't know when
Alan
he changed, but
blew the coop.
I don't know that he can tell you anymore. He's an old guy. He doesn't. His memory's not that good.
It's better than Biden. Well, let me. I want to respond to this because I've heard this now repeatedly. I've heard a lot of conservatives and independents say, well, Guillermo, but man, Donald Trump, he was the right guy for 2016. He was the guy, but you know what? A lot's changed since 2016. It's a different time. He was the right guy. We need someone new. I want to remind everyone, first of all, Washington, D.C. hasn't changed. Let's be very clear about that. Washington, D.C. has not changed. So when people say, listen, we don't need Trump, that's kind of an era that's over. He came in, he disrupted the system. And I hate to tell everybody, besides the obvious, but listen, the system went right back and even worse. So I don't want people to sit there and be like, well, he improved things a lot in D.C. And he was just barely getting started. So. Go ahead, Bullet.
You okay? Well, Guillermo's having a coughing spell right now. That's still as a result of last Tuesday when he was on the air for 7 hours straight or whatever it was.
Oh man, thank God you were here. All right, I'm back. Where was I? Okay, so let me get back in here. So you need someone. Think about this. If it took Donald Trump to get in there and disrupt a system that was, incredibly corrupt, incredibly bureaucratic, incredibly establishment, you're gonna need someone like him to get back in there and just. I don't even think he's going to be able to accomplish what he originally accomplished out in 4 years. Ron DeSantis, great candidate, right? Mike Pence, great candidate. But these guys don't have the gravitas, the bravado to get in there and immediately look in the swamp and say, hey, guys, this is going to cut out. But you know what the greatest asset that he has going for him, Donald Trump, is the fact that he only has 4 years and he's not up for re-election. When you look at Ron DeSantis, you look at Mike Pence, you look at Pompeo, you look at all these guys are DC creatures, and some of them might, and they might hate it too. You could be a DC creature and hate DC. Trust me. Well, not like I am, but you could be that creature. But at the end of the day, you got 4 years. You're going to want to be a 2-term president. There's not going to be things you're going to want to do on the outset because you want to make sure you don't get Trumped or Bushed. So I think Donald Trump, and for people to say, listen, he was the guy in 2016, not the guy now. Like, no, listen. He was the guy for 2016. 2022 is even worse. When you look out globally, Bob, when you look globally, the Biden-Harris administration has just left a mess. And I mentioned, I'm reading Jared Kushner's new book. And you want to know what my greatest revelation of this book was? You're going to flip. You're going to flip. Jared Kushner, right?
Yeah.
I like the guy now. Before I thought he was like, oh man, kind of you're a rich boy, But in reading the book, there's a couple things that I don't think a lot of people realize. As a son-in-law, I was surprised that Trump never even treated him like a son-in-law. It was kind of weird. But what did
he treat him like?
Like a staffer.
Oh, like an employee?
Like a staffer. In fact, it was funny because in the beginning of the book, before he went to go ask for Ivanka's hand, he told, Trump said, okay. Basically what's going on, Jared? I know you love Ivanka. She got a lot of choices, Jared. A lot of choices, Jared. A lot of men out there. And Jared, said, hey, it's getting serious. And then he said, I think she wants to convert to Judaism. And then Trump told Jared Kushner, why don't you convert? You need to convert. And then Jared Kushner, we've had this conversation. I'm serious. This is in the book. Oh, and then Jared goes, yeah, but it's her decision. He goes, okay, I love it. I have a lot of Jewish friends. Jewish people love me. They love me. And he's telling this conversation. I'm just like, this is classic Trump. And then he goes, Jared, Tom Brady's been trying to talk to Ivanka. Tom Brady. And then Jared goes, I know. And then Trump goes, you should go with Tom Brady. And So anyhow, I got off on that story.
How long you been practicing on that Trump?
Listen, I'm the last. Listen, man, he's got to run. I got to have a job. So here's the thing, Bob. In the book, the revelation hit me. Trump was able to do the Abraham Accords, right? He was able to go around the world and get deals done like nobody's business. You want to know why he had so much success in the Middle East? And it just, I couldn't believe it didn't dawn on me sooner. Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, Morocco. A lot of these countries, you know what they are? They're family dynasties. It's all family. And I don't want to sit here and tell you we don't need an American family dynasty. I'm not saying we need, Trump's family needs to be the American king or no, I'm not saying that. But when reading the book, a common theme came up, and that was when Jared Kushner would go, he represented literally Trump. He was in the family business. They said that when American diplomats during Obama, during Bush, they would send people, they knew they were never talking to the main guy. They knew that this would always have to get run up the chain. They knew there was so much bureaucratic aspects of it. When Jared started going in there, and even the Palestinian Authority, which I mean, obviously just hates America, it's all family business. And when he would step off the plane and he would have to start negotiating, they had this level of respect because what's greater in the Arab culture besides Allah? Their family.
So they were more willing to listen to.
They were more willing, exactly,
to a family member than just a staffer coming in.
And that changed American diplomacy, and it also kind of helped that Jared Kushner's Jewish, and he kind of had that. He's Jewish, but he was seen as a liberal. Oh, that liberal Jared. And Donald Trump even said, and he's like,
interesting.
Jared, what liberal SHIT are you bringing to me now? I mean, you gotta read, folks. You gotta read the book. It's called Breaking History. Jared Kushner. It will give you. I was really, if I ever get to interview Jared Kushner, the first question I'm gonna ask him, like, dude, why would you? He's your father-in-law. He treat you like a staffer. Like I don't believe it. But anyhow, Donald Trump is able to do things that no one can. On day one, he can call up Putin and say, "Hey, listen, man, this SHIT's got to stop. This is what we're going to do." And Donald Trump will say, "You're going to take this part over, all right?" I called Zelensky. I said, "Zelensky, do me a favor." No, I'm joking. Get it? Back to the impeachment days? No? Already? Good, we forgot. He's going to say, "You're going to take this part." There's so many. On day one, Donald Trump would come in. He's got relationships with a lot of these world leaders. A lot of these, the unpredictability, Bob. This man, Jared Kushner said he didn't even know what he was going to do up until the minute that he did it.
Well, that's obvious.
His son-in-law. But let me tell you, when you're dealing with people like Kim Jong-un, when you're dealing with people like Xi, these guys don't know. And I don't, well, no, I know. Ron DeSantis, Mike Pompeo, Mike Pence.
So you
know what these guys are going to do.
You're saying that, well, I think there's two issues here. Number one, does Trump still have that much influence in the party, the Republican Party, number one? And number two, does he still have that much influence on world leaders? I think we have to start with the first one first.
Yes and yes.
This is no formal survey, but I've been reading a lot of things in different publications, talking to even some of my close friends, and they're not all on the bandwagon for Trump this time. And they all voted for Trump the first time around.
And they'll vote again when he's the only guy.
Well, if he's the only guy, yes.
Yeah.
I would suspect they probably would. They're not going to vote for Biden.
Well, you bring up a good point. Is he essentially de facto party leader? I'm not sure if you read J.D. Vance's recent article yesterday in the American Conservative. Did you read it? No. Let me read a little.
Congrats to J.D. for his win too. But
the article's entitled.
That was a good book.
It was. Don't blame Trump. Any midterm autopsy ought to focus on how to close the national money gap and how to turn out less engaged voters. This is what he said. Something odd. This is J.D. Vance. Something odd happened on Election Day. In the morning, we were confident of my victory in Ohio and cautiously optimistic about the rest of the country. By the time the polls closed, that optimism had turned to jubilance and lobbying. Every consultant and I personally encountered during my campaign claimed credit for their own faction. The victory was a testament to Mitch McConnell's Senate Leadership Fund, one person told me. Another person told J.D. Vance that it instead was the National Republican Senatorial Committee, chaired by Rick Scott, deserve the credit. He says, I'm both grateful for both, and they both helped me for it, and I'm grateful. He said, but then the results rolled in, and it was clear that the outcome was far more disappointing than had hoped. Every person claimed victory on Tuesday morning knew exactly who to blame on Tuesday night: Donald Trump. Of course, no man is above criticism, but the quick turn from gobbling up credit to vomiting blame suggests there is very little analysis at work. So let's try some of that. Let's start with the obvious caveat. There's a lot we still don't know. Precinct level data is still outstanding in most states, and exit polls are notoriously finicky. Voters are still being counted out west, which we are. We're still ignorant about a lot, but any effort to blame Trump or McConnell for that matter, I want to blame McConnell, but whatever, ignores a major structural advantage for Democrats: money. Money is how candidates fund the all-important advertising that reaches swing voters, and it's how candidates fund turnout operations. In every marquee national race, Republicans got crushed financially. The reason is Act Blue. Act Blue is a Democrat national fundraising platform where 21 million individual donors shoveled small donations into every marquee national race. Act Blue is why my opponent ran nonstop ads against him. It is why John Fetterman was able to raise $75 million for his election. Republicans' small dollar efforts are paltry by comparison. And he goes on and basically says, hey, listen, man.
So he's blaming placing partial blame on the fact that the Republicans didn't have enough money to spend on their campaign.
Well, he goes on to say it's a lot more than just Trump. And I think that's accurate. The reason why we lost is it's a lot more. If I were to, I'm going to tell you what I think. I think it was 2020, 2020. 20 Trump, 20 not Trump. I guess that'd fall under Trump. Mitch McConnell, the candidates themselves, the fact that we're not able to raise money, and the fact that we're just not united as a party, period. So I think that's why we lost last week. But your question was, is Donald Trump still, is he still in charge of the Republican Party? And I would say today, where Kevin McCarthy's barely getting a vote of, I guess we'll take you as speaker if you can get the votes in January 3rd. Donald Trump is still the leader of the party.
Well, and I guess to support that.
You're supporting it?
Well, who's the most visible Republican candidate today, as we sit here today? It's not Ron DeSantis.
No.
I mean, Ron DeSantis is visible in Florida and certainly in the nation as a governor. But who's the most visible national candidate as we sit here today for potential?
Yeah, it's Trump. Trump.
Now, does that mean he still has all of the support that he had of the 70+ million voters that he had in 2016? I don't know. Like I say, I've read some things and talked to some folks, and they are not of the same opinion as they were, like I was in 2016. Yeah. Obviously, remains to be seen. We can't sit here and prognosticate. And
that's what we got to do, Bob.
Think that we know.
We're on here the hour. We got to prognosticate until another 16 minutes.
Well, we could always listen to your imitation of Trump. But
that's great.
That wears pretty quickly.
No, come on, man.
but as we sit here today, he is the most visible national candidate for the Republican Party at this time.
Yeah, he is.
So, obviously we have some time, 2 years to.
We got a lot of time figured out.
A lot of things are going to happen.
A lot of football to be played
in the next 2 years.
Bob the Bullet, political analyst. We're going to blow through all the commercial breaks. We're not taking a single commercial break because we can do that. And election time is over. We ran all of our election inventory, so we're good. On this, why don't you do some on this day?
Do you want on this day?
I get my voice.
On this day, while Guillermo chokes on another cough drop, or you don't have.
Yeah, I was going to say, producer, can you grab me a cough drop from my bag, please? Yeah, at the bottom, like a lady's purse. It's all at the bottom.
On this day, November 15th, 1904, and I picked this especially for this show.
Oh yeah,
and our social media folks who can see me and see what I look.
The Latino doctor did something amazing.
And 1904, King Gillette patented the Gillette razor blade.
No way.
Yep.
There was a King Gillette?
That was his name, King Gillette.
Shut the front door.
Submitted the patent for the Gillette razor blade, which I am very foreign to.
No way.
I don't know what that is. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool.
I thought that would be an interesting on this day, since I don't use a Gillette razor shave or anything.
There you go. Look at that.
So
The Gillette King and then the
something you didn't know.
Ultra MAGA King is going to come tonight.
Well, and that was his first. Who would name their kid King?
He was an actual king.
No, that was his first. That was his first name.
I thought it was an actual like regal king.
No,
I guess I should have asked what country.
He was a guy in New York.
Oh,
his first name is King. His first name is King.
No way.
Who named
Actually,
his kid
there's
King?
a couple. There's a couple guys I know that. Not a couple. There's one guy I knew. He was in my wife's PT class, doctor of physical therapy class.
His first name was King.
Was King? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
King. I think it was like King. I think it was like French something. You know, those French mixtures, like French Canadian. Like,
anyway, I stay away.
That's the worst.
I stay away from razor blades.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was getting off on French Canadians.
As you can.
But all right, that was it. That's all that happened.
On this, well, that's the only one I chose for today.
Oh,
Did you want more?
well, I thought you have more.
No, not for today.
Oh, all right. Well, on this day tomorrow then,
I have.
or whenever you're back. All right, Bob the Bullet Leoni, in studio here as we break down.
You know, all your talking is making me thirsty. You know that.
Well, hey, I want to get back here. We're talking about President Trump, the big announcement coming up, the big announcement that we know what the announcement is going to be. Here's the other thing I keep hearing from a lot of people is, Guillermo, we don't need him. I like his policies. His policies were great. I liked his we don't need him. I liked his policies. And my very obvious response is, hey, listen, if you like his policies, you think the next guy is going to do the exact same thing? Probably not. I mean, policies are pretty president specific. The other thing that I think people need to know is, like, a president doesn't walk in and just have like all these policies in his head and just writing down. I mean, he surrounds himself with a team. All right. Policies are dictated by teams. They're dictated by tons of people. I'm not saying that Ron DeSantis is incapable of getting a good team around him, but if people say, listen, I don't like Trump, but I like his policies, listen, they are one of the same. They are one of the same. Now, can Ron DeSantis come at a policy differently and better? Yeah, I absolutely agree. But you please don't forget, and they got the potential 24 candidates: DeSantis, Christie, Pence, Youngkin, Pompeo, Haley, Hogan. Who the heck is Hogan? And Tim Scott. So back to what I was saying. You know,
it's a big field.
It's a big field. It's a huge field. But at the end of the day, their policies are going to be tied to the person. So I want people to stop saying, I don't like Trump, but I like his policies. No, if you don't like his policies, you don't like Trump. I mean, it's just plain and simple. Because I think a candidate...
You don't think you can separate those things out?
No, you can't. Because, for example, let's just look at this. Top policy priorities. What do you think Trump's is going to be when he gets back in?
Economy.
Yeah. What do you think DeSantis is going to be? Oh. See? Trump is that business guy. He's going to come in with a different set of priorities. And listen, all the priorities, let me check. We got to do economy. We got to do foreign affairs. We got to figure out the war in Ukraine. We got to figure out our electoral system. We got to figure out our health and human response. I mean, there's still we got immigration. So I think when people say I like Trump, I like his policies, you got to really think about that, because realistically speaking, a president's not going to come in and solve everything. Look at Barack Obama. Let me be clear. The only thing I was able to do was stop racism and pass the Affordable Care Act. I mean, not even Barack Obama was able to do everything. So that's what I'm saying. When people say I don't like Trump, but I like his policies, I think that you really got to think that through, because there's no other person in the field that's going to be able to bring up that policy and possibly bring it to a finality and a close. Just because you have a policy and you think something doesn't mean you can actually get it across the finish line, Bob. What do you think?
No, absolutely. I mean, you can come up with any kind of policy you want to. Getting it passed, getting it enacted, and all of that is difficult, and it's going to be difficult with the Senate going the way it's going too, as well. So that brings up another point. In some of the candidates that Trump endorsed, 4 of them lost in their respective races. Now we have a big race, a big runoff coming up in Georgia in December between Warnock and Herschel Walker.
Yeah.
Do you think, and Trump's already endorsed Walker, do you think his continual endorsement of Walker will swing it towards Walker or Warnock?
I think it's double. My honest opinion, I don't care.
Okay.
Because Georgia's so insane. And I know people are going to, if we have listeners in Georgia, we probably do because of Alan Autry Alan Autry show. I don't care about Georgia.
Okay.
I did,
but
I don't now because we lost the Senate. But let me answer your question. It's a double-edged sword because if Trump goes all in and Herschel Walker loses it, it does tell us that Georgia hates Trump, and that's not good because we kind of need Georgia. So, but if Trump jumps in and wins Georgia, and I mean Herschel Walker blows out Warnock, would that tell you that Donald Trump is loved? I don't think it would tell me that either. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Well, it was just a question I was thinking about because reading all of these political opinions and everything. There's one that, and I like to read a lot of the Democratic and left side, just to see where their point of view is coming from. And they have absolutely written Trump off for the most part, saying that he's lost a significant amount of his base. And the fact that his endorsements lost in at least 4 of the races proves that he doesn't have the clout that he had in the past. Exit polls, which again, and Alan and I talked about this for 2 weeks before the election. Polls are so variable that you can't really depend on them to tell you a whole lot. But the most recent exit poll shows 58% of those exit polls had an unfavorable impression of Donald. What that means, probably nothing. To those folks, it did mean something. But again, I just wonder if he still has that fervent base that he can rely on and count on in 24. Well, and I don't know if he does or not.
I'll tell you what, you're about to find out.
Yeah,
I think the whole world's about to find out. Here's the thing. Here's my problem with attaching President Trump to the candidates that lost in 2020, last Tuesday, a week ago. Number one, Trump didn't go full Trump mode. I don't believe he went full Trump mode at all for any of the candidates. He did a couple of rallies here and there, but we saw full Trump mode. I mean, towards the end of his campaign, he did like 8 rallies in 4 days in like 5 different states. So I mean, it was just insane. So I don't think Trump went full Trump mode. He also didn't even give up a lot of his money for these own candidates. He didn't go full Trump mode. So when people say, "Oh, that's Trump's fault because his 4 candidates didn't win," the other thing we also have to understand is all of these places are different. Ohio, JD, I think you could have put anybody against Tim Ryan, they would have won. With Trump, it's Ohio. You know what I mean? Give me a break.
Just because you went to Michigan.
Give me a break. I know Ohio, all right? I know Ohio. I know Michigan. I know Indiana. I know Wisconsin. I know Illinois, and I know Ohio. All right. I know it was a game over. You look at Georgia. That's still not over, right? No. You look at Pennsylvania. I mean, these are very different parts of the country. Here's the other main point I wanted to make. I think conservatives as a whole need to stop thinking that the entire country is like Florida. This is why we have to have Ron DeSantis, because all the Republicans are like the Florida Republicans.
Well, I think if you live in California, you know that already. But to the rest of the country,
yeah, exactly.
We live in a definitely blue state forever.
Yeah, over here in California, in the Central Valley, we should know that Democrats have killed our water. We should know that, right?
Done a lot of things.
To the oil fields in Texas, they love Trump, right? When you look at the coal miners in Virginia, they love Trump. When you look at the auto workers in Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan, they love Trump. When you look at the radicals out here in California, in San Francisco, they hate Trump. When you look at Oregon and up north, the Pacific Northwest, they hate Trump. I think sometimes we fail to realize that this country is really big. It is really diverse. We're not all going to agree, and that's perfectly fine. And just because one candidate, may it be Trump or Ron DeSantis, you think that that might not be the candidate that resonates with most. And right now, I think the candidate that resonates with most conservatives and most independent Americans is Donald Trump. Ron DeSantis is just untested on a national platform.
Well, and that's what we talked about earlier.
But Mike Pence isn't. You got some guys that aren't. But at the same
time, Pence doesn't seem to be. Pence is a perfect VP. I think he was a perfect VP. Didn't have to do a whole lot.
Bob, the bullet. I'm going to stop you right there, Bob.
I know what Don thinks
Bullet
about it.
Bullet Bob over here. I love this guy. I do. I love Bullet Bob, but he's wrong.
I'm
not saying it. Other people tell me, Alan Autry, you tell me this guy's wrong, but I love the guy. I love him.
So I guess we come back to the fact that these candidates that Trump endorsed, you say he didn't fully endorse them, or
he gave him the endorsement.
He didn't push it.
He didn't do more than, hey, I'm going to show up and do a rally for some of them. I mean, he didn't give much money. He didn't.
So was that a referendum? So for those that he endorsed who lost, was that a referendum against Trump's endorsement, or just that the candidates didn't spend enough money on their campaign and they were weak candidates too?
I think it's all the above. I mean,
we know in Pennsylvania, Oz was not the best.
He wasn't.
Yeah.
Let's look at who was the other guy. Laxalt, right?
Yeah, Laxalt.
Laxalt's
from a long time.
Was he Nevada or?
Yeah, Nevada. He's from a long time political family. His dad was, I think, the governor of Utah or governor of Nevada, and I think a senator. So he's from a long time political family. So I'm not sure what we can sit here for days and try and analyze.
And Laxalt was ahead up until the last moment when he wasn't. You know what I mean? So here's the other aspect of this: is there voter fraud? I don't know. All right, I don't know, but I will tell you. I mean, it's kind of looking like it is, but I will tell you this: if there's not voter fraud, we didn't do. Even if there is voter fraud, we didn't do our job.
Well, and that's a great.
We don't ballot harvest.
That's a great point.
Let's just Kerry Lake didn't do it. Adam Laxalt didn't do it.
Let's not worry about that. Let's just get out there and bust your butt and do what you got to do.
Damn votes.
Do what you have to
do.
Get
the ballots.
Yeah, I mean, and then this alleged fraud or whatever, stuff in the ballot, whatever. Then it's not an issue if we can win by enough votes. And it just I get tired of them using that as an excuse or as a potential excuse. Get out, do the job, do what you're supposed to do, and win the damn election. I know that's simplistic, but I'm not. I'm a very simple man.
You just went from political analyst to political strategist.
I'm from Riverdale. Where there's more cows than people. So it sounds like it's a simple. Obviously, it's not. It's difficult.
No, Bob, I think
but you have to get out and beat the bushes and really get out on the street and do what you need to do.
Bob, I think it is simple. I think it is. We're dealing with a conservative party that complains about ballot harvesting. They don't want to do it. Call your local church. Pastor Jim Franklin did a ballot harvesting event.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Imagine if all of our churches did it.
Well, we could get into a whole theological question about how churches should
do it on the street in front of the church.
Well, no. I'm with you.
Hand it in with your tithe for all I care.
It's just that, again, a lot of times the Christian community does not come together with the force that it has.
They don't even like each other sometimes.
That's my point.
Yeah.
To be able to affect change in a positive way. They can't, this church, those guys, we could get into a whole theological argument about that.
Oh, yeah, only the Adventists are perfect. But I know what you mean.
Well, I've always said that. But you just need to get out there. And I've never run for political office. I helped Haas with his first campaign in 2000. And it was eye-opening. But he had so much positive energy going that he was not going to lose.
He had momentum.
Yeah, he had so much momentum. A lot, obviously, from his exposure on television, but a lot just because of who he is. And I can tell you, and I told you this before, he's the same guy that now, the same humble person that I know today,
yes, sir,
as he was when we were 8 years old.
Yes, sir.
He's still the same guy. So with that charisma and that personality, he's able to win that election pretty handily. And then the next, the second term, he won 70% of the votes or whatever it was.
Shut it down.
Yeah, knocked it out of the park. But he did his work. He did the work. He went to the side of town that nobody else wanted to go to.
Yeah.
And he talked to the folks there. And that's the same thing he was telling me about Walker's campaign.
It's time.
Are we done?
Yep. All right. As Vicky just said on Facebook, great show, G and Bullet.
Oh,
love you all.
Thank you, Vicky.
Do your best, and God does the rest. Let's do this again tomorrow. All right. Same time, same place. Bob, last word.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
All right. Appreciate it.
See you tomorrow.